Okay. Well, greetings from Tactic, Guatemala. We're so happy to see you all. I was hoping we would have the opportunity to chat a little bit before we started the live recording, but we saw a bunch of your names appearing there on the screen. And for those of you who are watching later, we're so happy to have you join us here on the site of our children's home in Tactic, Alta. And we're just in this beautiful surroundings here, surrounded by beautiful maple trees and evergreens and grass. And in the background, I think you can see some of our children playing from the children's home. And we're just excited today to be sharing some of the stories and be with you. I'm going to step out of the camera in just a moment, and Christy will be joining you. But
our children's home is a dream come true for us. I know that as a 12-year-old girl, I dreamt of one day owning an orphanage, and you know, it was just a fantasy at that time. But it's amazing how the brings our dreams to reality. Sometimes we have to wait a very long time, but they eventually come true when there are dreams that the Lord placed in our hearts right from the beginning. And so we're so thrilled. 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, in June 2019, we received the authorization from the government here to open our doors and to run this home. And less than a month later, we already had our first baby. And since that time, in those 2 years now, we've had 29 different children with us in this home. Some for a very short time, for longer, some for a couple of years, some right from the beginning. And at this time, we have girls and one boy that are living here in our home with us that we are caring for. And we have just received the validation to continue our home. In this country, you have to be revalidated every year. And we just received that revalidation. And so we are now actually widening the age of children that we would be willing to receive. We didn't want to start off this home with lots of children at one time because we wanted to do it well and we wanted to learn as we went. And so we limited very much the numbers by limiting the age of children we receive. But now we've broadened it a little bit, and we expect there will be way more children coming soon. And so we're expecting this home to expand in the next year.
Well, I'm going to step out of the picture. I just wish I could sit down and have a coffee with all of you, but this is goodbye for me until the question period later, perhaps. And we're going to invite Christy to come here and chat with Rita about what's going on, what the Lord is doing in this home.
Christy is a former student of our schools, and just worker, and so she was a very natural person to invite to become part of this home. And she is living in the home right now and caring for the children, basically you could say 24/7. Well, she does have her weekends where she goes away, but she also does all the social work the government requires on top of caring for the daily running of the home. So I'm going to let her talk to you, and I'll be translating for her. So here's Christy, and my first question to her is, what is your role in this work?
Saludos, hermanos, desde el hogar de Niños Vida.
All the way from the children's home.
Dios bendiga a cada uno de los
May
que
God
nos observan.
bless every one of you that is watching.
Es una bendición
It's a
poder
blessing to be able
compartir
to share with
este
you
proyecto
this
maravilloso
beautiful project
que el Señor ha
that the
permitido
Lord has permitted
en el municipio de Tactic.
in this place called Tactic.
Mi rol en el hogar de Niños Vida,
My role in this home for
ya
children,
lo decía hermana
Rita
Rita,
already mentioned it.
soy trabajadora
I am
social
a social worker.
y es una bendición
It's a
poder
blessing to be able to
conocer cada uno de los
know
casos de los
each
niños,
one of the cases of the children,
presentarlos ante
to
las diferentes entidades del
and
gobierno.
I have to be the one to present them before the different arms of the government that they are involved with.
Otro de
And
los
another
roles
thing,
que realizamos
Another paper that I have
es
is
ir a diferentes comunidades,
to go to the many different communities,
caminar por horas
sometimes walking
en
for
medio de
hours,
árboles, en la montaña.
sometimes in the mountain, in the trees,
Hemos conocido a
and
familias
we've gotten to know the
de
families
nuestros niños
of the children
viviendo situaciones muy difíciles.
in very difficult situations.
Otro de los roles es poder organizar toda la documentación del hogar,
Another thing that I do is I organize all the documentation that we have to carry for the home,
ya que trabajamos de la mano con el gobierno
because we work hand in hand with the government in this.
y tenemos pues toda la documentación en archivos.
And we have all the different files for every child. We have to have their file.
Trabajamos con el equipo de niñeras también,
And I also work together with all the nannies and
realizando
organize them.
diferentes actividades,
And we organize different activities of what we
trabajando
do
con
with the
los
children,
niños,
to work with the
a
children.
pesar de la corta edad,
Even though they're very little
de
in
nuestros
age,
bebés,
they're babies
de 0
actually,
días,
but sometimes less than a year old.
se realizan diferentes
But we
actividades.
have activities that we involve them in.
Los niños en el hogar
The children in the home,
reciben una atención integral.
they receive a complete attention.
Eso significa que
That means
reciben atención psicológica,
that they receive attention
atención
psychologically,
médica,
attention medically
atención
speaking,
social,
socially speaking,
atención espiritual,
and spiritually
que es
speaking,
lo más importante
which
para
is, of
nosotros.
course, is the most important for us. So, Christy, what would you say is the regular day for you when you wake up in the morning, and what is it that you do all day, you and the children? How does the day look?
Nuestro día aquí en el hogar con las niñeras, tomamos
day-
un día de la semana,
In this home here, we take one day a week.
puede ser viernes,
It could be a Friday, or
preparamos alguna comida especial con las niñeras,
then we prepare a special meal with all the nannies,
buscamos alguna película,
and we look for a good movie to
la
watch.
verdad nos encanta,
And we love doing that.
y pasamos ese tiempo de convivencia con el equipo de niñeras.
And we do that together with all the nannies.
Ahora con los niños
With the children,
es una actividad recreativa,
we do something
Recreational.
recreational.
tomamos una tarde,
We take an afternoon.
puede
And
ser en el jardín del hogar,
sometimes it's here in the garden of in the yard of the house, because it's beautiful out here.
se pone una piscina,
Sometimes we put out a little paddling pool,
pequeñas refacciones como frutas,
and we have maybe some little snacks out here with the children,
para compartir con los niños,
so that we can have that fellowship time with the children.
y algunas dinámicas.
And we play some games with them.
A veces
And
vamos a
sometimes
otros lugares
We even go to other places,
recreativos,
recreational places that we could go to.
hemos visitado el zoológico,
We have a small zoo in Taktik, and the
Conociendo
children have gone to
animales.
visit all the animals,
tiempos muy especiales
and
con los
very
niños.
special times. But what is a typical day? Es un día típico. Like, cuando despiertas a la mañana, ¿qué haces? ¿Qué hacen los niños? ¿Qué engorda el día?
Uno de nuestros días típicos es, tenemos
A
nuestra
typical day.
rutina, tenemos nuestras actividades de
Oh,
rutina,
we have routine activities that we do every day.
iniciando desde las 5:30 de la mañana.
It starts at 5:30 in the morning.
Los niños, algunos despiertan en ese horario,
Some of them, they wake up at 5:30 in the
entonces
morning.
ya hay que tener listas
so-
las fórmulas o las pachitas,
So we have to have their bottles ready for them.
si no los niños gritan y
Because
gritan,
no, they will start screaming. They'll be so hungry.
entonces empieza el movimiento de carreras en el hogar,
So we start running at 5:30 in the morning,
limpiar las pachas,
To clean.
servirlas,
and we boil all the bottles and we get them ready.
nos distribuimos el trabajo, se distribuye,
We always distribute the work among the nannies and
unas
myself.
preparan las fórmulas,
Some of them make the formulas.
otra niñera prepara el desayuno para nuestros niños de 6 meses en adelante que ya comen comida
Another
sólida.
nanny gets the breakfast ready for the children that are 6 months old and older.
7:30 están despertando el resto de bebés.
At 7:30, yeah, they're all awake already.
Van a la cuna, sacan a los bebés,
We go.
cambiarles.
We have to go to get the babies out of their rooms, out of their cribs, and we have to change their clothes
Cambiarles pañal,
and change their diapers
la pijama,
and their pajamas.
el cabello alborotado.
We have to
necesitan-
comb their hair because they wake up with it all over the place.
Y luego a lavarles las
And
manitas.
then we wash them their hands
carita.
and their face.
Y luego ya listas las llevan al comedor.
And when they're ready like that, then we take them to the dining room.
Y la hora del desayuno.
And it's time for breakfast.
Desayunan nuestras bebés.
After our children have breakfast,
Luego nuevamente a limpiarlas.
then we go and clean them all up again.
A las 9 de la mañana
At 9 in the morning,
ya necesitan su pachita.
then they need their bottle again.
Luego van a su cunita a hacer siesta.
And then the little ones, then after their 9 o'clock bottle, they go and they have their nap.
Es increíble, algunos bebés duermen por 2 o 3 horas.
And some of our babies, they will sleep 2 or 3 hours then in the morning.
Y todas las niñeras a cada rato tocando, o viendo si respira, sintiendo.
And our nannies are always in there making sure that they're okay and that they're breathing,
Para ver que todo esté bien.
making sure that everything is fine.
A las 12, el desayuno,
Well,
el almuerzo, perdón.
At 12 o'clock, they have lunch.
Nuevamente a limpiarlas.
And again, we
a
have to
lavarle las
wash their
manitas.
hands again. And
Aquí les enseñamos a su corta edad a utilizar las cucharas o las servidoras.
even when they're 6 months and old, a little bit older, we teach them already to grab their own spoon and grab their own little baby fork.
Las primeras veces hacen un desastre.
The first times they just make a
Toda la
disaster.
comida
The
es
food is all
puesta
over
en
them.
ellas. Sí. Luego,
But after a while,
a la 1,
at 1 o'clock,
su pachita nuevamente.
again, they get their bottle
Se quedan en la sala del hogar,
and they stay in the living room for a
en lo
while.
que las niñeras preparan todo el material para la estimulación temprana.
And then the nannies get all the material ready that they will need for their stimulation session.
Lo cual se realiza en la sala del hogar o en el jardín.
And they do that in the living room or in the garden out here.
Y se disfruta una tarde con los niños.
And then they enjoy an afternoon with the children.
5 de la tarde, la cena.
And at 5:30, they have supper.
Luego la limpieza,
After
y cambio de ropa, babero, y luego a las 6 la pijama. Y la ducha. Terminan de cenar.
After 5:30, when they finish eating, then they have their bath and they get their pajamas on again.
A las 6:30 todos los bebés en la cuna.
At 6:30, all the babies are in their cribs.
7 de la noche hay un silencio en el hogar.
At 7 in the evening, there's silence in the home.
Es maravilloso.
It's beautiful.
Ese es nuestro día típico.
And that's our typical day. Ahora, la pregunta es qué significa la casa parada. So what does, the next question that I'm going to ask Christy is, what does it mean to the babies to be in this house, in this children's house? And how does this ambience help them?
Bueno, esta casa para nuestros bebés
This house for our babies,
significa mucho.
it signifies so much.
Es un lugar de esperanza.
It's a place of hope.
Es un lugar donde
It's a
Dios
place
restaura
where God
vidas,
restores lives,
donde Dios sana
where
vidas.
God heals lives.
Es increíble
It's incredible
cómo los niños
how
a
the
su corta
children
edad,
with such a small age, like such a young age,
ellos vienen con
they
muchas
come
heridas en su
with
corazón.
so much pain and so much hurt already in their hearts.
Y al venir a este
And
lugar,
when they come here,
Dios inicia un proceso
God
de
begins a
restauración,
process of restoring them,
de poder
of
sanar
healing,
y liberar sus
and
vidas.
to set their lives free.
Estamos muy
We're
agradecidos
very
con Dios
thankful to God
por este lugar,
for this
para
place,
nuestros bebés
for our babies,
y para sus familias.
and
Es
for their
increíble
families. It's
cómo
incredible
Dios
how God
utiliza este lugar,
uses this place,
un tiempo para
a
nuestros bebés,
time for the babies.
y cómo viene y
And
atrae a algunas familias
Sometimes when the families come to
que no
visit
conocen a Dios,
and they don't know the Lord,
y a través del
and
programa
through the
y
program
de la
here
atención que se
and
brinda,
the attention that we give them,
llega la palabra del Señor
the
al
word
corazón
of God comes
de las
into their
familias
hearts and the
para
families
traer libertad.
to bring
Como la
freedom to
palabra del
them.
Señor dice, trae
Thus
libertad al
The
cautivo.
word of God says that he sets the captives free, and we see that here. I'm not sure what our time frame is, but
3 minutes.
I'm going to ask Christy to tell us a story of one child, just without naming the names. We're being careful with the privacy. That's why we don't have them up too close for you to see them either, just in the distance. But one story of one child.
Sí, las historias son muy
The stories are very,
duras de nuestros
very
niños,
difficult,
historias muy tristes
very sad
de cada
of
uno.
each one of our
Sin
children.
embargo, quiero
But I
compartirles
want to
una
tell you
historia
one story
de una bebé.
of one baby.
Ella lleva ya casi 2 años con
She's
nosotros.
almost 2 years with us already.
Ella ingresó
She
a la edad de mes y medio.
She came a month and a half
Ella
old.
vino en unas condiciones
She came
muy
in
malas o
very,
pésimas.
very heavy
Teníamos el
conditions.
temor de
We
si
have
iba a
the
vivir
fear.
o no
We
por
had
su
the fear
condición de
whether she
salud.
would live or she wouldn't live because
Tenía
of
bajo
her
peso.
state of health. She was underweight.
Era muy pequeña.
She was very small.
Mas, sin embargo, Dios
But
siempre está
God
respaldando
is always with us, helping us.
la
and
obra
the work,
y está a favor de los niños
and He's always on the side of the
que son
children
vulnerados.
because they're
son
vulnerable,
abandonados.
they're abandoned.
Y el Señor nos
And the
permitió
Lord permitted us
poder brindarle
to
una
give
atención de
her
calidad.
attention, a good attention.
Ella fue creciendo,
She began to
creciendo.
grow and grow.
Era prematura.
She was premature when she was born.
A la edad de 1 año,
At 1 year old,
ella logró caminar.
she was able to begin walking.
El médico estaba
The
sorprendido porque
doctor
era muy
was
pequeña
surprised because she was very tiny
y ella logró caminar,
and she
gracias
was
a Dios.
able to walk.
La historia de ella viene porque ella se quedó en el hospital
She came to us because she was left in the hospital.
por diversas situaciones de su
There
familia.
were difficult situations in the family.
Mas, sin embargo, vive en
But
una situación
They are still living
en la comunidad donde
in the
viven
community where they
muy
live
fuerte,
in a very
problemas
difficult
sociales
social problems
en la comunidad.
in the community.
La familia es perseguida,
Is persecuted.
es lastimada.
They have been hurt.
Sin embargo, la niña corre riesgo
And the little girl, she would be very much at risk there.
de poder estar con su familia
It's very risky for her to be with her family
en una
in
situación
a situation,
difícil.
such a difficult situation.
Y sabemos que todo tiene un
And
propósito.
We know that everything has a purpose.
Creemos mucho en el
We
propósito de
believe
Dios.
in the purpose of
Ella
God.
está aquí con un propósito.
She's here with a purpose
Y
from
uno de los
God.
propósitos
And one
es
of the
que
purposes
Dios ha cambiado el corazón de
is
su
that
familia.
God has already touched the
De la
heart of her
madre, que es
family.
madre
The
soltera.
mother, she's a single
Ella es
mom.
un producto de abuso sexual.
This little girl is a product of
Mas,
sexual
sin
abuse.
embargo, ella está aquí viva porque Dios
But
tiene un
she's alive
propósito para
because
ella.
God has a purpose for her.
Y la familia se ha
And-
vuelto al Señor.
And the family has now turned to the
Venían
Lord.
de una religión católica.
They came from a very strict Catholic
Ahora
background,
ellos
but now
conocen al Señor
they know the Lord.
y desean
and
conocer
They
más del
want
Señor.
to know Him more. Yeah, the grandfather, he keeps coming to visit the little girl, and he has said to us, we are now praying together as a family, which they had never done before. He said, we learned that here with you. And so we see that our purpose is even much greater than we originally imagined.
Oh, that is wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. So good to hear from you, Rita, and from you, Christy. Thank you so much for sharing. And we can see your heart, we can see your love, and we can see these children are healthy and well playing in the background. So I want to open it up. We've got a question here asking, what is the new age range? So we're going to now open it up for questions. So it's time to get your questions in the chat if you have a question. And we're going to ask Rita and Christy our questions. So first question here is, what is the new age range? And will you have to quicken, like speed up your plans for the homes, the little casitas for the older children that are in the plan for construction?
We're going to be receiving children that are from birth to age 4, which means you're actually 4 until you're 5 here. So they could be almost 5 and still be considered 4, right? And so that's the age we're opening it up to, which is twice the age we've had so far. And that doesn't mean that if a 6-year-old comes along, we would say no, and they may offer them to us too. But yes, we are hoping to continue now the construction. And because the house that was built is what we call our baby house. And in this past year, when we received some older children, we noticed that it was actually not a good mix to have the older children in with the babies. You know, the babies wake up at night crying, and then these other children are there and they wake up, and because they've all suffered trauma too. So we really do believe that it's time to begin building and looking for staff to separately take care of the older children.
Another question. Thank you, Rita. Another question, Christy. A question for you as to how you first became involved in the children's home. When did God work in your heart to say to you something about serving in a children's home in the way that you are?
Escuchaba mucho del proyecto con nuestros
I heard
pastores,
very
hermana
much
Liz y hermana Rita.
about this project from our pastors, Les and Rita.
Este sueño que el Señor puso en sus corazones.
This dream that God put in their hearts.
Y estaba en el proceso todavía.
I was still in the
En
process.
toda la papelería, en solicitarlo a CNA, que es la entidad que autoriza los hogares.
We were still in the process of getting the authorization of this home.
Estaba en el tercer año de la carrera de trabajo social.
And I was in my 3rd year of the social work studies.
Y una de las personas encargadas de todo el manejo del proyecto.
And one of the people in charge of the whole working of the paperwork
me escribió y me preguntó si podía apoyarles en poder planificar actividades para la casa hogar en el área social.
So just to explain, in order to ask for them to authorize this home, we had to have all this paperwork, and we had to have projects from a social worker telling us what kind of games we could play with the children and what we would do with them. So when we were trying to get our authorization, Christy was asked if she could put together a package of what we could do with the children.
Así como fui conociendo un poquito más el
And that's
proyecto.
how I got to know more about the
Y me
project.
encantó.
And I loved it.
Y empecé a orar y decirle, bueno,
And I
Señor,
began
tú
to
tienes
pray, and
planes
I said,
maravillosos.
Lord, what are your plans? I
Y
know you
donde
have
tú
good
quieras
plans.
que yo te sirva, pues yo voy a estar contenta.
And I said, Lord, wherever you want
Me
me to
gusta
serve
el área
you, I will be
educativa.
there. I love being in the
Trabajé muchos
schools.
años
I worked years as a teacher in the schools.
y no me lo esperaba en el año
And I
2019.
didn't expect in the year 2019.
Y ya estaba en el último proceso de mi carrera para graduarme.
I was already at the point of graduating as a social worker.
Escuché que autorizaron el hogar,
And I heard that they had
Estaba
the
muy contenta.
authorization came for the home,
pero
I
nunca
was
me
very
imaginé
happy.
que me llamaran.
but I never imagined that they would call me.
Y cuando recibí la llamada,
And when I received the call,
yo no lo pensé 2 veces.
I didn't think about it twice.
Por supuesto, a
I
servir al
said,
Señor.
yes, I want to serve the
Y
Lord
máximo en esta área
in this area
donde nuestros niños necesitan mucho amor.
where the children need
Mucho
so much
cariño.
love. They need so much
Y
affection.
aquí estamos sirviendo
And
al
here we
Señor.
are
Y es
serving
así
the Lord.
como empecé poco a poco a
And that's
conocer el
how I
programa
began little by little,
y me encanta.
seeing how this
Me
program
encanta
worked.
servir
And
al Señor en esta área.
I love serving the Lord in this area.
Oh, that is wonderful, Christy. We're so thankful for you. We have one more question before we will close the formal part of our afternoon here, but we will keep the Zoom call open. We will stop the recording after this question and invite everybody to stay, and we'll unmute you and we'll have a time to just talk and ask our questions and just be together. So one last question here is, what would you say is your most urgent prayer request for the children's home?
Cuando ellos retornan con sus familias.
It's when they return to their families.
Son realidades muy duras.
There are very, very
Muy
difficult,
difíciles.
very difficult situations they return to.
Y juntos en oración
and together in prayer,
podemos clamar a
we
Dios
can ask the Lord
para que Él nos dé mucha
that
gracia
He would pour out a lot
mucha
of grace
sabiduría
and wisdom
para hacer, para defender
to defend and to do
a nuestros niños
what needs to be done for our children
y poder orar por ellos
and to pray for them.
para que el Señor proteja sus vidas cuando retornan con sus
That the
familias
Lord would protect their lives when they
y
return
que
to
puedan
their
ser
families,
amados.
that they can be loved.
Esa es nuestra.
That's our prayer.
Thank you. And thank you so much for sharing with us today. This is a huge blessing. We're so grateful, and for all the work that you do there in Guatemala. And so we will stop the recording. Soon you will hear a voice that is stopping the recording, and stay with us if you'd like. We'll stick around for maybe another half hour for those who want to stay. Stay as long as you can. You can leave when you need to, and you can unmute yourself. Okay.